Today we're diving into one of the biggest stare-downs in all of combat sports, and it's not even happening inside the cage. We're talking about the massive, complicated money fight between the legend himself, Jon Jones, and the UFC.
You know that classic question, right? Well, that is exactly what we're looking at here. On one side, you've got the legacy of, arguably the greatest fighter to ever step into the octagon, and on the other, the cold, hard business machine that is the world's biggest fight promotion. And to really help us get our heads around this high-stakes battle of wills, we're going to look at it through the eyes of someone who's seen the business from the inside, UFC veteran and superstar Jorge Masvidal. He's got a really unique perspective from both sides of that cage door.
Okay, let's jump right in. We'll start with the fighter's side of the table. Because to really understand Jon Jones's demands, you have to understand what he and, his supporters truly believe he represents. The entire case for a giant payday really starts and ends with this one powerful idea. See, Jon Jones isn't just another champion. He is widely considered the best to ever do it. That GOAT status, it's not just a talking point. It's a real economic driver. We're talking massive pay-per-view buys, mainstream attention that very few athletes on this planet can command. So this isn't just a negotiation. It's about putting a price tag on a living legend.
And Jorge Masvidal just cut straight to the core of it right here. From the athlete's point of view, it's really a question of principle. If the guy at the absolute pinnacle of the sport can't get what he's worth, what does that say about the value of every other fighter in the organization? And this is the kind of number that's reportedly at the heart of all this, an 8-figure payday. We're talking in the tens of millions. Now, yeah, that is an astronomical amount of money for a single fight. But for Jones, that number isn't about just one more fight. It's about the culmination of a dominant, era-defining career.
So, here's the crucial point. This isn't just business as usual. For Jon Jones, this is about his final chapter. It's the one chance to have that historic super fight, to get that legacy-defining paycheck and ride off into the sunset on his own terms. It's kind of like the closing statement on an unbelievable career. All right, so now let's flip the coin and look at the other side of the table. Because while Jones is focused on his legacy, the UFC, well, they're focused on liability. For the promoter, the math is way less romantic and a lot more pragmatic.
And this is what makes Masvidal's take so valuable. Even as a fighter who's on Jones's side when it comes to pay, he gets the promoter's reality. The UFC's #1 job is to its bottom line, and every single major decision gets filtered through that lens. Now, the UFC's hesitation isn't just coming out of thin air. It's based on a track record. The sources point out inconsistencies with Jon in the past, and that includes pulling out of major fights. A history of cancellations. It makes any promoter nervous, especially when there's a multi-million-dollar investment on the line. And this right here perfectly illustrates the fundamental disconnect. Jones sees a deserved payout for his incredible legacy, while the UFC sees a massive risk because of his history. Jones is basically arguing for the price of immortality. The UFC is arguing for the need for reliability. They're pretty much speaking two totally different languages. If you look at it from a pure business angle, a promoter has to weigh all these factors. Of course, ticket sales are everything, but fighter reliability is what guarantees those sales actually happen. A fighter's legacy is great for marketing, for sure, but if the fight falls through, you can't really monetize that legacy. So this brings us to the core problem, right? You have this clash between a celebrated, undeniable past and a future that the promotion sees as, well, uncertain. So how do you possibly find some middle ground?
But then you have this. Masvidal reminds us of the magic that kind of erases all those business concerns. The risk might be high, okay, but the reward is a Jon Jones performance. And historically, when that cage door closes, he delivers one thing, a win. That's the X factor that just complicates the whole equation.
See, this isn't just about cutting a check. It's a logistical nightmare. Just think about all the moving parts for a second. You've got scheduling, marketing, global TV deals, booking the venue. Everything has to line up perfectly. It's this incredibly complex puzzle of finding the right opponent, building a massive event, and then just crossing your fingers that it all goes according to plan. The stakes really couldn't be any higher for the promotion. And when you really break it down, each one of these steps is a huge hurdle. First, you got to find an opponent who's even worthy of a legend's final fight. Then you have to somehow bridge that massive gap between his perceived value and their perceived risk. And finally, the hardest part of all, guaranteeing the event actually goes off without a hitch. Masvidal's final thought here really captures how so many fans feel. At the end of the day, people just want to see one of the greatest of all time get one last epic moment in the spotlight. And, yeah, get paid what he's worth for it.
And honestly, that's the most important thing to take away from this whole situation. There are no easy villains or heroes here. Both Jon Jones and the UFC are coming from positions that are completely logical inside their own worlds. It's a classic clash between the powerful realities of legacy and liability.
And that's the question we'll leave you with to chew on. In the high-stakes world of professional sports, where does a legend's worth end and a business's risk begin?